We have another Arrae product to review. This time it's an all-in-one probiotic. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing a new product by Arrae known as Arrae Tribiotic. So many of you have asked me to review this, so I thought it was finally time that I delivered. In this video, we're going to be reviewing their claims, their ingredients, their cost, and I'll let you know if it's actually worth buying. But first, hi, my name is Katey. I'm a registered dietitian and certified personal trainer. My goal with this channel is to help you learn more about nutrition, fitness, and wellness so that you can be your best, whatever that looks like. I also love to do product reviews. So if any products or topics that you want me to cover, just let me know in the comments below. All right, so let's get started. What is Arrae Tribiotic? I have reviewed Arrae a few times in different videos before, so if you want to learn about the company itself, feel free to check out those videos after this one. In terms of Arrae Tribiotic, they call it a daily gut, immune, and vaginal probiotic. And Arrae says that their product contains 3 main ingredients that are going to help support this, including prebiotics, probiotic, and postbiotics. They also say that they added a toxin remover to it, so that's a little bit of a red flag for me right away, but as we go through the ingredients, I'll let you know if it's actually going to work or if it is a red flag after all. In terms of this product, they make a lot of different claims. So this includes reducing IBS symptoms and supporting bowel regularity, maintaining a healthy vaginal pH, which may help to reduce odor, boosting overall immunity and supporting respiratory health, supporting skin health and reducing the appearance of wrinkles, and supporting the overall gut microbiome with 50 billion CFUs of probiotics. So those are a lot of claims for one supplement, and they're pretty bold too. So let's dive into their ingredients to see if it actually does all this. If we take a look at the supplement facts table, we see that there are 4 main categories. There's a prebiotic fiber, a probiotic blend of 8 probiotics, and an immunoglobulin binder. So let's first talk about the prebiotic fiber. So first, the prebiotic fiber that is found in this product is known as xylo-oligosaccharide. And when it comes to prebiotics in general, the best way to think about these is that they are food for beneficial bacteria inside of your gut. And when these bacteria eat prebiotics, it helps them continue to populate and flourish. Now, prebiotics are really great for these bacteria because us as humans aren't able to break down these types of fibers. And so because we're not able to break them down, these fibers go through our intestine and they help to support the health that way. But when they reach the colon where the bacteria live, these bacteria like to eat it because they can actually break it down. And when they do this helps them to flourish and populate, but also produce products known as postbiotics. In particular, there are 2 that are produced with xylo-oligosaccharides, particularly butyrate and propionate. And these are types of short-chain fatty acids that help to support our gut health and overall health. So yes, consuming prebiotic fibers can certainly benefit our gut health. In terms of dosing, they use a dose of 400 milligrams. When we're comparing this to research studies, this is quite low in comparison. Studies will use a variety of different doses, but generally speaking, it goes over 2 grams. So 400 milligrams versus a minimum of about 2 grams. And oftentimes it's higher than that. So for example, in 2014, there was a double-blind randomized placebo-controlled trial in 44 men and women that took 8 grams of xylo-oligosaccharides per day. And at the end of the study, they had modest improvements in fecal bifidobacterium content. And all that means is that a certain type of beneficial bacteria were increased when taking this supplement. And the authors suggest that by taking this prebiotic fiber, it helped to increase the population of these types of bacteria, which actually play a role in our gut health. So for example, interacting with gut-associated lymphoid tissue or GALT tissue. And this is a very strong part of our immune system. Another study used a lower dose that was also published in 2014. So they compared a dose of 1.4 grams of xylo-oligosaccharides to 2.8 grams of xylo-oligosaccharides to see if a higher or lower dose really made a difference. And at the end of the study, they found that the dose of 2.8 grams was more effective than 1.4. Although 1.4 grams still had some beneficial effects. Even then though, that low dose is 1,000 milligrams higher than what's found in Arrae. So while I am glad that Arrae is using a type of prebiotic fiber in their product, the dose is much lower than what most studies use. And also keep in mind that this is only one type of prebiotic fiber and there are many. And you can get prebiotics in a lot of different foods in your diet. So that's the first thing that I would recommend because you're going to get a variety of them instead of just one. Overall, I think that it's fine in this product. It could potentially have some benefits, but if you're going to say that you're using clinically studied ingredients, it would be good to also use clinically studied doses as well. Okay, so next let's talk about the probiotic blend. Before we start, if we take a look at the ingredients, we see that there is no mention of what's known as an enteric coating. And an enteric coating just helps to protect the probiotic capsule when it's going through our stomach, which is highly acidic. Some of the probiotics in this product are relatively resistant to acid, so they will likely survive past the stomach and go into the intestine. However, some might be a little bit more sensitive and therefore there might be some losses. Considering there are 50 billion CFUs of probiotics in this product, it's likely that even if some are lost, you're still going to get a pretty good dose. Fortunately, Arrae does break their probiotic strains into the specific benefits that they say they will have. So they break it down by vaginal health, gut health, and then skin and immune health. So we'll briefly talk about each one. To start, for vaginal health, the first thing I want to say is that while yes, changes in pH can lead to changes in vaginal health, I do find it quite irresponsible the way Arrae is going about this. And I find it a little irresponsible to suggest that taking this probiotic supplement is going to make improvements in odor. Really, the first thing that you should be doing if you have any concerns is visiting a gynecologist or your healthcare provider. And the reason why is because they can do a proper assessment to make sure that there isn't anything else going on before you just take a probiotic supplement hoping that's going to fix the issue when it might be something else. Of course, there is such thing as a vaginal microbiome, and it is very important that it is taken care of and supported. And keeping the bacteria balanced and healthy is going to be very, very important for maintaining the overall health of it. And there is absolutely research into probiotic consumption and the support of a healthy vaginal microbiome. All I'm saying is that be responsible and go to your healthcare provider first. If you have any noticeable changes, it's the best thing to do. Okay, so does Arrae back up the probiotic strains they use with research? It appears so. On their website, they provide 2 research studies. Right away though, I find this very problematic because they don't cite the studies properly. They don't provide a link, they don't provide the title of the study, and they make it very difficult for a person to actually go and find that study themselves. And this is the bare minimum that anybody should be doing when it comes to citing research. They should be providing the title of the research study as well as a link or the DOI for it. So they need to do better with this because this isn't the first time they've done this, but they've done it with other products too. But because I do my due diligence, I went and found the studies, and some of them weren't that easy to find. So the first study was done in 2018 in 40 women with bacterial vaginosis. And this study was a randomized double-blind controlled trial, so that's great to see. So in this study, participants were either given a placebo or a probiotic blend known as Respecta. And this probiotic supplement contains 3 main things. So the 2 strains that are found within Arrae, so Lactobacillus acidophilus GLA14 and Lactobacillus rhamnosus HN001. So both of those are found in Arrae. However, this probiotic blend also contained something known as bovine lactoferrin, which is not in Arrae. And bovine lactoferrin is simply a type of protein that binds to iron. And this is going to be important very, very shortly. So after 15 days, when compared to the placebo group, those who took Respecta, so that probiotic blend, had significant improvements in itching, vaginal discharge, as well as odor. Between the groups, there were no changes in vaginal pH, and this is important for establishing a healthy vaginal microbiome. However, from the start of the study, the pH was already on the acidic side, so wasn't really concerned from the beginning. But colonization of bacteria did improve in those that took the Respecta blend. So overall, there were improvements with taking this Respecta blend. The issue is, like I mentioned, Arrae doesn't even use this blend. Yes, Arrae Tribiotic uses those 2 probiotic strains, but they do not use bovine lactoferrin, at least it's not mentioned. The issue with this is that the bovine lactoferrin was added to that Respecta blend for a reason. It has antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and microbiota modulating properties. So for all we know, based on this study, is that the improvements came from taking the 2 probiotic strains as well as that lactoferrin that is not in Arrae. There could potentially still be benefits from taking the probiotics that are found in Arrae, but we can't know for sure because it's not an apples to apples comparison. On top of that, the women in this study were diagnosed with bacterial vaginosis. So while this particular blend may be beneficial in that population, we can't say that it will be beneficial for everybody else. The other study that Arrae cites on their website is very similar to the one we just talked about. This one was done in 48 women with bacterial vaginosis as well. The big difference with this study though is that the women were given an antibiotic treatment before they started taking either the placebo or the Respecta blend. Again, they were using that blend with the probiotics and that lactoferrin. And just like the last study, those who took the Respecta blend saw improvements more than those who took the placebo. Yet again though, this study used a blend that has lactoferrin and not just those 2 probiotics. So we can't say that Arrae is going to have these results, let alone the fact that the people in this study that Arrae is citing took an antibiotic before starting the treatment. So it's not an apples to apples comparison, and citing this study doesn't really prove anything for you. And yet again, why it's important to see a healthcare professional first. Okay, so now let's move on to the next probiotic group that focuses on gut health. When it comes to gut health, there's a decent amount of research out there that supports taking probiotics in terms of supporting a healthy gut microbiome and improving overall gut function. And Arrae includes a couple different probiotic strains that are supposed to help with gut health, and they do provide a few studies to support this. Yet again though, they fail to provide the titles of the studies and the links, but I still found the studies. The first thing I want to point out is that the studies that they cite are done in people with a condition known as irritable bowel syndrome, also known as IBS. And this is a very complicated gut disorder, and not everyone has it. So the one study that they cite on their website is from 2016, and it was done in Finland. It was a double-blind randomized placebo-controlled trial in 391 participants who had IBS of any kind, because there are different types of IBS. And the participants were divided into 3 groups. So the placebo group, a low dose of a bacterial strain known as Lactobacillus acidophilus, so 1 billion CFUs of that, or a high dose of that same bacterial strain, so Lactobacillus acidophilus, but at a dose of 10 billion CFUs. And whichever group they were in, they took that treatment for 12 weeks. Right from the get-go, I want to talk about how misleading the picture is on their website. The first thing to point out is that they provide a picture of a small portion of a graph. Well, if you actually go and look at the research study, that's only one little portion of a larger graph. And this particular photo that they use on their website only talks about bloating, and that's only one of the outcomes they were looking for. Second, if you actually look at the results, you'll notice that all of the groups had significant improvements, regardless of which treatment they were taking. And the way you can tell this is because the p-value is less than 0.05. So there were no differences between taking the probiotic and the placebo. And if you want to take a look at the entire chart, I have it here on the screen. Don't worry, it's from the same study. I just used the PDF version because it's a lot clearer. If you take a look at this chart, you'll notice that all 3 groups had significant improvements across the study. Granted, pain scores were better in the treatment group, so those that took the probiotic, but there were still improvements in the placebo group as well. So for me, when Arrae just takes a tiny little clip of that giant chart and throws it on top of their website, it's a little bit misleading, and it also shows they didn't interpret the research properly. What's problematic is that for the average person, and I don't expect most people to know how to read research, but for the average person that just wants to learn more about their probiotic supplement and they go on their website and they go, oh wow, they posted some research, this must be accurate. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. And that's honestly why I do these videos, because I really just want people to be able to learn about products honestly. Oftentimes, just throwing a graph up on the website doesn't provide the context that is required to understand the research study properly. And when you read the paper, you'll actually see that the researchers acknowledge that there were no significant improvements regardless of the treatment. So they said that if you took the probiotic or the placebo, there weren't huge differences. So honestly, Arrae posting this study doesn't really support taking it. This isn't to say that these probiotics won't help some people, but from this study, it doesn't seem like it's going to work wonders for the average person who has IBS. And again, this is done in people with IBS. For the general population who doesn't have a specific gut disorder, is it going to help? Who knows? The other study they list is for another probiotic known as HN019. And this is a well-known strain that has been shown in research to help people with gut motility disorders. And gut motility simply means how easily and quickly food moves through your gut. So people with poor gut motility typically have symptoms like constipation because things are just not moving very efficiently. And based on this study, they did find that supplementing with Bifidobacterium HN019 did help improve gut transit time. So simply how fast things are moving along. So this is good to hear. Granted, this study that they cited is for people with gut motility disorder. So they already have issues going on. So if you have delayed digestion, you have constipation often, this could potentially help. But even the researchers argue we need more research. And on top of that, if you do have any issues like this, you should be going to see a gastroenterologist or your doctor and maybe focusing on other areas of your diet as well. So consuming more fiber, drinking more water, and so on. And that's it for the studies that they cite, even though there are more probiotics that are on the list, such as Lactobacillus rhamnosus and Lactobacillus lactis. Though when it comes to these 2 strains, these are very well-known probiotics, and they have been found in research to support overall gut health. And they're oftentimes found in a lot of probiotic supplements, so it's not uncommon to see this. Finally, they discuss Bifidobacterium lactis for immune health and gut health. First of all, there is some data to suggest taking probiotics in terms of helping skin appearance. And this is because our skin, as well as many other parts of our body, are heavily connected to our gut. So when it comes to our skin, there's something known as the gut-skin axis. And this relationship between the gut and skin have been shown to play a role in overall skin health. And this is because a healthy gut microbiome is associated with less inflammation, a stronger immune response, a stronger gut lining. So basically a stronger gut lining just helps to prevent any bad things from getting through your intestines into your bloodstream, and also playing a role in hormone and blood sugar regulation, which plays a key role in our overall skin's appearance and skin issues. As a result, people who have different skin issues, so for example, acne, eczema, psoriasis, or premature aging, could potentially have some benefit from taking a probiotic. Or even better, if they're just consuming a diet that supports a healthy gut microbiome. It's not the probiotics itself necessarily, it's making sure that your gut health is as good as it can be. Now, while it's great that they use a decently studied strain to support skin health, the thing to keep in mind is that there are so many different probiotic strains out there, and they all play a role in regulating the gut-skin axis. And really, we're in the early stages of understanding the role of probiotic supplementation and which strains are going to help with skin health, in particular, knowing which strains are going to help with which skin conditions. Just having this one strain may be helpful when you combine it with the others, but we can't say for sure that taking this is automatically going to improve your skin health. And the simple reason why is because what is skin health to you? Some people are dealing with acne, some people are dealing with eczema or psoriasis. Some people just might want to improve the overall appearance of their skin. So all of these things require different approaches. And that's the fundamental challenge with probiotic supplements. While they do show promise, there are just so many things that need to be considered. For immune health, the same thing applies. The study that they cite on their website did show that supplementing with Bifidobacterium lactis did reduce the risk of getting an upper respiratory illness compared to the placebo group. In a 2019 review of 24 studies, the researchers did also find that probiotic supplementation may help to improve immune health, especially in athletes. However, they also argue that we need more research before we can start making definitive claims. And there are a lot of other studies that have mixed results when it comes to different types of outcomes that are measured when getting sick. So for example, how often you get sick, the duration or the length of how long you're sick, and how severe your symptoms are, let alone the fact that your immune system isn't just about whether or not you get a cold. It's involved in virtually every aspect of our body. So for example, your gut, which is a major part of your immune system, is involved in the health of your heart, your liver, your skin, your kidneys, your muscles, your brain, and so many other things. It's all connected. And so while it's nice that they have a probiotic strain here that could potentially help support your overall immune health, be careful with your expectations. Okay, let's quickly talk about the postbiotic. A postbiotic is a byproduct that is produced by healthy gut bacteria. And these byproducts can help support our health in many different ways. So for example, reducing inflammation or utilizing those byproducts as energy sources, such as short-chain fatty acids. So the postbiotic that's found in Arrae is known as Bifidobacterium longum. And there is some data that supports taking this postbiotic in terms of decreasing diarrhea in people with IBS. So again, the research that we're talking about right now is tailored specifically to people with IBS diarrhea. So a very specific subset group of IBS, let alone the whole population. However, there was another study that was done on generally healthy people who took this postbiotic. And they found that supplementing with this postbiotic helped to increase the number of bacteria that produce a postbiotic known as butyrate. And butyrate is a type of short-chain fatty acid that is linked with many health benefits such as lowered inflammation. When it comes to bowel habits, there weren't a lot of changes with taking this postbiotic. But to be honest, this kind of makes sense because it was done in the general healthy population, so they didn't really have any gut issues to begin with. So having this postbiotic might help a little bit. Finally, we have the immunoglobulin binder. So in this study, they used 250 milligrams of a brand name known as Immunolin. And basically this is just a type of bovine immunoglobulin. And immunoglobulins are part of our immune system and they support our overall health as well as gut health. So within Immunolin, there are a couple different immunoglobulin proteins, primarily IgG as well as IgA and IgM. Our body produces these immunoglobulins on its own. As of now, there isn't a ton of research on Immunolin. If you go on Immunolin's website, they cite 2 studies and they're done in pigs and rats, and they don't have any reported human clinical trials. With that being said, there are studies on bovine immunoglobulin itself, so not the brand name Immunolin. So in research studies, you'll see it's called bovine immunoglobulin or protein isolate. And research on this has found that there may be some benefit, especially with people with IBS. But when we take a look at the studies, the doses they are using are upwards of 5 to 10 grams. And this is way more that is found in Arrae. So sure, there is some potential in taking bovine immunoglobulin or the protein isolate in terms of supporting IBS symptom management, but the doses that are being used are significantly higher than what is found in Arrae. And honestly, I take issue with the language that Arrae is using to describe this. Yes, IgG, which is a type of immunoglobulin, does go around our gut looking for things to get rid of. So it does go around our gut looking for harmful substances like bacteria, viruses, and toxins. But this happens naturally in our body. And so I find that a lot of companies typically just use the word toxins because it's really trendy and it's a way to kind of grab attention to consumers. And I find that a lot of companies use the word toxins and getting rid of toxins as if our body doesn't already know how to do this, because our body does produce these immunoglobulins on its own and helps get rid of anything that's considered a foreign invader that our body doesn't want. So when it comes to this specific ingredient in this product, it could potentially help people with IBS or other gut issues, so they're already having a hard time with their gut health and they may need some additional support. Granted, the doses are typically a lot higher. But what's unclear is if that this is actually going to help the general population, which for the most part is who is buying this product. And the reason why is because your body already does this. So do we need any extra for support? We don't know. Okay, so now I just want to have a word on what to expect with taking Arrae Tribiotic. Like I've talked about in my other Arrae videos, I can't stand the fact that they provide a timeline for taking their supplement. The reason why is because there's just no scientific backing to support it. First of all, like we just talked about, the immunoglobulin that they have in their product may help some people with specific gut disorders. There isn't quality evidence though to suggest it's going to clear out toxins beyond what your body already does, especially in healthy people. And saying that it's going to happen on a specific timeline isn't supported by research. Then randomly they say at 3 months that your gut microbiome is going to improve. It could, but it may not as well. It really just depends on the individual. And then by 6 months they say that your gut microbiome is fully balanced. Says who? There are no clinical trials on Arrae at all. Zero. There are no clinical trials on Arrae's Tribiotic at all. So I question this entire thing. On top of that, they just post random statistics about different types of ingredients. They don't even list the ingredients, let alone provide the study of where they're getting that information from. Because it's not from Arrae, they even say in the little fine print there, based on individual ingredient research. So I find that misleading. Here's the thing when it comes to Arrae's Tribiotic. It could potentially help some people. The probiotics in this product do have some data behind them, and they do use a high dose for those. But the strains that they are using and the studies that they're citing to support it are really specific to people with gut issues, rather than the general population. So yes, I do expect some people could potentially find benefit with taking this, but other people may not. I will say that they do use a high dose of probiotics, so 50 billion CFUs. Just keep in mind that if you are new to probiotics, this might lead to some gut upset at the beginning. They do suggest taking a half dose for the first 2 weeks and then building your way up, so I do like to see that, and that's probably the best way to approach it. Okay, so let's talk about the cost. For the cost, it's decent. It's $44 US or $49.50 Canadian for a 30-day supply. If you do it in 6-month orders, it's a little bit cheaper. Compared to other probiotic supplements out there, I don't think the cost is the worst. I'd say it's pretty comparable to other ones. If you are tight on your budget, I would really recommend that you focus on your lifestyle habits first, particularly your diet. So making sure that you're consuming whole, nutrient-dense foods. Making sure in particular that you're getting enough fiber in your diet, because that is the most underrated way to support your gut health. Also, limiting ultra-processed foods is another good idea. On top of that, making sure that you're eating enough probiotics. And really just consuming a nutrient-dense diet is a great starting point. And I just want to emphasize that you do not need to take this probiotic supplement or any probiotic supplement to be healthy. There are other ways to do it without having to fork up money to improve your gut health. Okay, so let's talk about my overall thought. If you take anything away from this pretty long video, it's that probiotics are a very complicated topic. And everybody's going to react differently to probiotics because we all have different gut microbiomes. We also have different health conditions, different genetics, different diets. We live in different places of the world. All of these things play a role in our overall gut health. When it comes to Arrae Tribiotic, the Probiotic Blend is decent. I do like the high dose that they use, and the strains are relatively well studied. Their claims aren't completely backed by research though. And also when it comes to the general population, we just don't really know if this product's going to do that much for them. I also find their claims in general a little bit problematic. In particular, saying it's going to reduce wrinkles, get rid of odor, boost your immunity, and so on, when they don't even have clinical trials on their own product. Could it help? Yes, potentially in some people. Is it needed? Probably not. I don't think the product itself is inherently bad. It's just the way that Arrae is going about it. And whoever does their website and research needs to do a much better job at citing the research studies they're using and interpreting them correctly. Remember that there are so many different gut disorders and they all require different treatments. If you're generally healthy and you don't have any specific gut disorders, then I want you to ask yourself a question. Why do you think you need this probiotic? Is it because it's trendy and it's constantly in all the ads on Instagram? If that's the case, then you probably don't need it. If it's just to support your overall gut health, then let's take a look at your diet first. On top of that, look at other lifestyle habits that are going to play a role in your gut health too. So for example, physical activity, your sleep habits, your stress levels, your environment. These are all massive contributors to the overall integrity of our gut and our microbiome. As for whether or not I think you need to buy it, I don't think you do. But if you're interested, then it's up to you at the end of the day. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you have any other products or topics you want me to cover. And if you did enjoy this video, I would love it if you would like and subscribe to my channel because your support helps me reach more people like you. And I'll see you in the next video.